everyone. Welcome to the question and answering session. Thanks for being really flexible with me as I had to reschedule from last night. Today is either going to be really short or really long. It's just going to be time to answer any of the questions that you all have. So I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to join in and look forward to answering any of your questions. Hi guys, welcome. I'm so glad to see a couple people pop in. Tonight is literally just a question and answer session, so whatever questions you guys have, throw at me. If there are no questions, then we'll just make this really short and sweet, but this is just kind of your time to ask away. So feel free to type away, otherwise we'll end this video pretty soon, guys. Any questions to start off with? I know there's been a lot of questions going on and just kind of about first-time users, so we're welcome and we're so glad everyone's here. This machine is really user-friendly, which is really nice. What's going to be not user-friendly is whatever software you pick, but that's just kind of up to you on what you want to use and what makes sense to you guys. So again, this is just a question and answer time. If there are no questions, then we will end this, but this time is for you all, so just let me know whenever you need. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of keep unzipping some files here that I bought earlier from the sale at the Classic Applique. I'm going to give everyone about 5 minutes to start asking questions. Otherwise, we'll let you guys just kind of post. Continue to post them in the group. I'll start a questions thread and anyone can ask them as they join in or as they need. Hi, welcome. If you have a question, ask it. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this down here in about, a couple minutes or so. Hi, Amy. Yay. Do you guys have any questions? I know there's only a couple people viewing, but this is really your time. If you guys don't have anything that you need help with, then I'll just start a questions thread and answer them as you guys need them. But I thought this would be a good time for you guys to kind of ask away. Okay, so there's not a lot of, obviously not any questions right now, but I want to go ahead and show you guys what it is that I am doing. Let's see if you guys can see that. I am currently extracting all of my files and organizing them. I gotta figure out what this is. Okay. And I'll show you guys how I organize them. This is built into PE Design Tent. It's the design database. This is my favorite thing that I use, but I have it split by every kind of subcategory you can think of. And most of the time I keep them pretty simple as to just like clothing or fonts, and then each font has its own. Each holiday I have broken down to have its own. So unless there's really like 10 or 12 of one particular design like this one has, I'll make sure and just let them all be in the same file as just general St. Patrick's Day. So I do not organize mine by designers. Sometimes it makes it a little bit confusing, but that's typically the way that I do it. Okay. Best trick when embroidering t-shirts. You said you felt lost today. What about it made you feel lost? T-shirts are going to be really the same as onesies, and I've got a really long tutorial on that, but it's just kind of making sure that you have the right stabilizer A lot of people too will stretch their t-shirts when they hoop them. That's going to cause the puckering. So the best thing to do, 2 layers of cutaway. Some people put water soluble on top. So 2 layers of cutaway on the bottom and your t-shirt, and make sure you don't stretch it, but make sure there's no wrinkles in it. That's kind of really the only trick it has. It took me forever to figure out how to do t-shirts. It was very hit or miss, and I would use them and mess up with them a lot. That's why I like Dollar General t-shirts. But the thicker the t-shirt, the better too. So like this t-shirt that I have on, this would be terrible to embroider. As far as kids t-shirts goes, if that's what you're thinking about, I really prefer something from ARB Blanks or Blanks Boutiques or Love That Cotton or LTC. Putting a hole through the t-shirt's very normal, but again, it's probably not enough stabilizer and it was probably hooped too tight. So you got to make sure that everything's right. I would keep that old t-shirt that you messed up on and retry it again, just in a different spot, knowing that it's just your scratch t-shirt. I practice a lot on knit things just to make sure that I don't mess it up. But the thicker the t-shirts, the better off you're going to be. If it's really thin, that's kind of the same rule of thumb for onesies. If it's really thin, it's just not going to work. But check out my tutorial on that in this group as far as how to embroider on t-shirts, because hopefully that's got some more tips and tricks in there for you. It's a good 45-minute video, I believe, on how to do it. But don't stop trying. I know a lot of people are gonna stop trying. They get frustrated. I did it too. I stepped away for a while because, especially on t-shirts, I just couldn't get it, and it was frustrating me to no end. But if you don't keep trying and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, you're never gonna learn. You can't be afraid to fail. So keep those extra t-shirts and keep messing up on them. You'll eventually get there. What other questions do you guys have? This is literally your time. I see we've got several other people that's joined in. This is only your time for question and answers. I'm not going to embroider anything. I'm not going to show you guys anything unless that's part of what it is that you need. I'm really just here to kind of be that resource and hopefully answer some questions a little bit faster than posting them in the group. Teresa, congratulations. Welcome to the most addicting hobby and expensive hobby ever. No, the best way to start is to start with a manual. I read that thing all the way through every once in a while. There's always something to learn. I also use the PDF version online. That way I can search and kind of find some quick tips and tricks. But the best place to start too is just really simple, plain cotton, a little bit of some stabilizer, kind of depending on what it is that you're using and how dense your design is. There's great charts in the albums section of this group for stabilizers, so I'm not going to really get into that, but there's ways to reference it. And then just to try it. I always stitch out every brand new design on scratch fabric. I typically just use kind of a white cotton, or if I know it's going to go on a t-shirt, I'll just use some white knit. That way I can use it and see how it stitches out, and then kind of know where it is I need to go from there. So that's going to be the best place to start, and just don't be afraid to fail. Don't get frustrated, but really read that manual all the way through. You are very welcome, Sherry. I'm happy to help. I love this kind of stuff. Okay, Lauren, you've been trying to find a repositional hoop but haven't been able to find one. Yes, they will work for other machines. You typically buy them in a set of 3 on Amazon. It's going to come with a 4x4, a little hoop, and then also the repositional hoop. It's kind of hard to find them just in a set of 1, but I think they're like $30 for the set. If you find my repositional hoop tutorial, I believe I have the hoops linked. The SC600 and SC625 and really even the 400 are almost the exact same machine. It's just different upgrades and different things that have been included. So if they fit on that, they should fit on your machine just fine. But Amazon's where I would find that. You guys are making me seeing myself. I'm seeing how broken out my skin is. So I guess I need to do some skin therapy here. what else? What else has been plaguing you guys? What else? What questions do you have? Is there something that you've been trying to do that you would love some advice on? I'm not pretending to be an expert. I don't do everything, but I am here to help you however I possibly can, and if I can. I'm definitely one of those people, if I can't answer, I'll get back to you and I'll do a little bit of research on it. But I like to experiment. I try and do everything I can with my machine and kind of push it to its limits, and that's kind of where I've gotten today. Actually, as of Monday, I still have my 625, but I officially have this beauty, which is just huge for my embroidery business. And it's been a fun ride. And you know, I love it. I love embroidery, and I love to do it on the side and just kind of see different things I can create. And I'm glad that there's a group of people that enjoy it as well. I will tell you, it's really addicting, and it can be pretty expensive because you constantly want to buy some new designs, but it's a lot of fun. Teresa, bring the list on. If you have them, feel free to ask. This group's really great, really responsive. 90% of the time they tag me in them, so I'll probably be the one answering, but I'm trying to let you guys also kind of answer them on your own. I don't want to be the only expert. There's a lot of people in here with a lot of experience, and want to make sure everyone's voice gets heard. See if I did this right. I'm extracting a bunch of files. Okay, my favorite place to get designs, let's see. Today, it changes on a day-by-day basis, so I'm going to be honest. I love Applique Alley. I love Embroidery Boutique, the classic Applique. I bought a bunch of designs from them because they're having a 50% off sale. Marmaby, really love her. Jackson Jane, Jack and Mac. There's a lot of places. Etsy, I buy most of my designs off Etsy. I do have my favorite designers that I tend to kind of gravitate towards, and they've all got their own kind of different style and different spin, but that's kind of where I always start on Etsy, and if I need something specific, excuse me, I'll make sure to search for that. Today I bought a bunch of designs from Classic Applique thanks to their sale, so I'm all for them. But like I said, I love Applique Alley, Jackson Jane, Marmaby. So really good. They're kind of my favorites and my go-to. Embroidery Boutique, just really kind of whoever has what I'm looking for. You use Kona cotton. I don't know what you mean by Kona cotton. I have an embroidery, or not an embroidery, I have an apparel design degree, but it's been several years since I've really dialed into fabric. I typically either just use a very, very simple knit, or I literally use the plain white cotton that is on sale at Joann's or at Hobby Lobby, whatever I can get the cheapest. I buy them in like 5 to 10 yards at a time, and I cut them in just large enough to fit my hoop. That way I can test the designs. Okay, quilting cotton. Quilting is not my expertise, so if someone else can answer that, that would be awesome. But it's also going to depend, were you actually sewing with the cotton or were you embroidering on it? Because sewing it's going to be different. It might just need a different needle. Sometimes it just needs different thread. That's really hit or miss. I don't know how to answer that one. I sew quite a bit, but I really just use kind of that universal thread, and I pretty much sew like cotton, sometimes knit, sometimes jersey dresses, so I don't really go crazy. Okay, so you're embroidering only with it. It's thin and iron's weird. Okay, I probably have some of that, and I've hated it too, so I get it. I like to find the thicker cotton. Sometimes I even use duck cloth if that's on sale, just because it allows me to use less stabilizer, and I can kind of see the way that design is still going to stitch. I have everything picked up right now, or else I would show you guys. This is my insanity of my blanks storage. That's portions of it, things I embroider on or I use my vinyl and craft on. But my cotton is up there as well. I always recommend a little bit thicker of cotton, whatever you can use, but hopefully you find something that's not quite see-through. If it's see-through, it's probably a little bit too thin and probably has a little bit too much stretch in it to really give you that good test stitch and for it to kind of mimic other fabrics. So that's my personal preference, but again, I just do whatever's on sale and whatever I can buy the cheapest way possible. Cool, guys. So I just downloaded all of these designs and I have no idea where they went. Fun. So I know you guys have all run into that issue too before where you're like, I downloaded all these and I don't know where they went. I don't either. I just spent a bunch of money on designs and don't know where I put them on my computer, so that's always fun. Yeah, if it's see-through, it's probably just too thin. I would just find something that's just a little bit thicker, and hopefully that works. And it's always, I end up getting the thin stuff every single time I send my husband to the fabric store. He just hears white fabric and finds like literally the cheapest white fabric he possibly can, and typically I'm stuck with it until I completely run out, and he'll buy a lot of it. So I've been there, I've done that. Maybe just use a little bit more stabilizer. Not everyone has an actual heat press like that, but that's what I found works best with that fabric, is just using a physical heat press and getting of all of the lines. But you know, if you're not using it for pictures, you're really just wanting to make sure that the design stitches out well and you kind of know what it's going to look like, then that cotton's fine. Just use some extra stabilizer with it. Oh, there they are. Okay, cool. It extracted in itself. You are welcome. Welcome, newbies. Newbies are the best. I still consider myself a newbie. I'm learning something new every day. And even though I do this probably on a daily basis and have a little side business with this, there's always something new. There's always something changing. You know, the core, it stays the same. You always want to stabilize. If you wear it, don't tear it, and don't use tearaway stabilizer. But it really just kind of depends on what it is that you're wanting to do, and basically don't being afraid to fail. If you're afraid to fail, you know, you're not going to be able to get those results that you want, and you're not going to be able to really fully kind of embrace and love this hobby the way that people are going to do it. So, Linda, you're going to see my back for a second, but let me see. Oops, or not. This little tripod's not really working right. Let me see if I can find that cotton and see if this is what you're talking about. Why? Well, it's just you and I. Maybe. Okay, this is my crazy box of stabilizers and hoops. So this is the cotton that I use to test stitch on. This is why I say it's see-through, because you can kind of see it. This is not my favorite stuff. You can see how stretchy it is, and it's really not stiff enough. So I have to use 2 layers of cutaway if I'm really practicing on that. Do you? Oh, absolutely. I purchased pre-wound bobbins. Life saver, so fast. At one point I was having one machine set up just to wind bobbins, and then I decided that was way too much and too much work, and I'm all about Amazon clicking and shipping. I was spending a majority of my time winding bobbins because I figured out how fast I was running through bobbins. So I buy them pre-wound. It's completely up to you. It's your own personal preference. I only use white bobbins. I do not use anything dark thread or black, just because I'm scared it's going to come through. So again, whatever you really want, but I 100% time saving wise use pre-wound bobbins. I even use them here for my big machine. And the cool thing about the ones for this machine, let me see if I can get it out, is these are actually, they have a bobbin case that they have to go in, and these are actually magnetic, which is pretty cool. But our machine doesn't need the magnetic ones. and it makes things a little bit easier. I'm glad you asked that though, because I just checked and realized that this bobbin's almost empty. Yeah, that's another reason I like pre-wound bobbins. You don't really have to mess with winding them, and you can buy them really, really cheaply. I just keep my boxes labeled because I've got 2 different machines, but you buy like 100 of them, I want to say for like 25 or 30 bucks on Amazon, and the amount of time it saves, and then they are wound smooth and quick. Sometimes they are overfilled. You got to pull out some of the thread, pull out like a yard or so before you stick it in your machine, just so that way you don't have tension issues, but they're worth every penny in my opinion, are those pre-wound bobbins. What's up? Who's next? Who else has an issue? Something else I can talk you through, help you through, make you feel like you're not going crazy. You're welcome, Sherry. Well, Teresa, welcome to the embroidery family. This question was asked a little bit earlier, just you phrased it a little bit different and asked a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to kind of go back and answer that the same way I would. I always start with the manual. Read the manual all the way through. It's one of the most boring tools, but it's also one of the best tools you'll ever have. As far as starting and doing something first, just recommend doing either, if you have already bought designs and have them kind of set up in your machine, that's great. If not, pick a design from your machine and test it out. They walk you through there really well. They'll tell you when to stop, when to start, when your bobbin's out, all of that good stuff. But it's really just not being afraid to dive in. I also always test everything on scrap fabric. Thread colors I don't really care about, whatever it is, so that way I can see the way it's actually going to look and make sure there's no glitches in the designs itself. So really, you're going to need stabilizer, scrap fabric, and thread to start off with, and then, as you kind of go on, there's different groups, or there's different videos in this group with different things you can do. I've got applique, I've got t-shirts. Next couple weeks, we're going to embroider on straw beach hats. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different resources in this group alone that you can use, but, YouTube's always a great resource too. Just don't search for your specific machine type. Search for single needle and know that most of it is kind of transferable and they really act the same way. Hi Linda, where to put designs? That is really up to you. I tend to put mine kind of in the middle towards the bottom, so that way whenever they fold over the kitchen towel, that's what shows. I do have some that I've done in the middle of the actual towel, but I like to do the bigger designs that way, so if it's going to be kind of a cute little monogram or some fun palm trees or something, my personal preference would be to put it at the bottom, but that's really whatever you want to do. I wouldn't say there's a typical rule for it. Just make sure it's centered no matter where you put it in the towel. Does anyone else? Linda, did that answer your question, Linda? Okay, you're welcome. Good. Okay, ladies, and men, if there's men joining, I can't see who has actually watching us, but let me know if there's any other questions. Again, this is your time just to ask and for my opinion and my advice on things. Like, I'm not deeming myself an expert, but I mean, I'm here to help. So let me know if there's any other questions that kind of pop up, and I'm here to help. How can you design your own design? Robin, that is not something that I do. I do not digitize. That's not something that's my expertise. So you would need to be able to buy software or to buy software that would allow you to do that. But really, I would have to say that's not me, and I don't want to pretend that is me. So I'm going to say you'll have to find some other sources for that for help. But I know that there's some great software out there that will allow you to do it. I personally just don't do it. I don't have the time or the creativity to do it. So I love supporting designers by purchasing their designs. Just because that's the way I can kind of help their small business grow, as well as what's the best use of my time. So I can't answer that one fully, unfortunately, just because it's not something that I dabble in. That's a great idea, Linda. Hey, I mess up my designs all the time. I mess up things. That's why I always say I practice on scratch fabric before I do anything for real. But that's a great reusing and repurpose. Sometimes you make it for one thing, but it works out cuter as another. And I love that idea. I love that creativity. Robin, I buy my designs everywhere. Like I mentioned earlier, you just really need to check and make sure that they'll fit on the 4x4. Most designs are going to give you a large option or variety of stitches, and I can show you some right here that I'm downloading. So you can see it gives me a simple stitch, and then a 4x4, and then even a 10x6. So kind of everywhere, wherever the designers, most of them will do something for a 4x4. Like I said earlier, my favorites are Applique Alley, Jax and Jane, Marmaby, Joy Kate. There's a lot more that I named Classic Applique earlier, but I kind of just really find whatever I need to use and make sure that they fit in that 4x4 hoop, or at least in the 4x6-ish hoop, and use the repositional hoop for it if that's what I need to do. You're welcome. I know that's not really a straight answer, but really just anytime a design is listed, it'll tell you the sizes that it comes with, and just make sure that one fits at least 4x4 or smaller. Most designers do not recommend you resizing their designs. You can pay if it doesn't come in the size you need to have them resize it. Everyone charges kind of different fees for that, but I just try and make sure it's going to fit in my hoop. Yeah, Teresa, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to dive into, but don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel scared. Embroidery is fantastic. Just kind of start small and then slowly add your way into it. I have, like I said earlier, I have an apparel design degree, so used embroidery machines in high school when I got my degree, and then didn't really use it again until after college. So it's really only been about 5 years or so that I've kind of dived back into it and had very bad machine, which made embroidery terrible for me. And then finally got my brother, and I've just been jumping right in, and I love it. I've had my brother since September of 18, and have just really kind of forced myself to try new things, messed up a lot, thrown a lot of stuff away, but have learned along the way, and everything's trial and error. So just don't be afraid to fail. The big baskets on the top shelf. I did not make those. Where did I get those? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where I got them. I got 4 of them. So I probably got them from like Home Goods or TJ Maxx. It's been a while, but they're awesome. They hold everything. Okay, so where did I go to college? I graduated from William Jewell College in Kansas City, Missouri. It's a tiny little liberal arts school up there. Graduated in 2014. It's a good little school. There's about 1,000 kids in the entire school for all 4 years. So just a small little baby thing. And yes, Teresa, take a deep breath, breathe. You'll get through it. It'll all work out. I definitely don't recommend trying something for the first time on something that, you know, is the most important thing that you get done that day. I've done that before and spent a lot of time on seam ripping and ripping out stitches. I will say, guys, this is one of my favorite embroidery tools, so let me find it. I've got stuff everywhere, so bear with me. Ignore my mess, but this, you guys can see this, the stitch eraser. If you mess up, it's an electric seam ripper, but it's really like an electric razor blade that you can go and take off the stitches very carefully without actually ripping your fabric and spending your time physically hand ripping out each seam with a seam ripper. So love, love, love that. You can purchase it on Amazon. I know, I don't know that Joann's has it, but I know that like all my local sewing stores here, which I only have really 2 in Tulsa, but all of them also sell it. It's like Peggy Sue's or something like that, seam eraser. They're not cheap. They're like 70 or 80 bucks, but worth it if you don't like ripping out seams like I do. Yeah, I am good. I am outside of the flood zone, outside of the tornado zone at this point. Yesterday was a little hairy. We had about 4 or 5 in our area, but my high school that I went to is not outside of the flood zone. They actually did not even finish school. They just cut off all classes, so definitely keep them in your thoughts and in your prayers. But yeah, we are out of the flood zone, but I appreciate you thinking about me as far as that goes. We're good. Where are you at, Teresa? Where do you live? Well, thank you, Linda. I'm glad that you've learned a lot, and I'm glad that you're here. Let me know if you need anything else. Like I said, I'm not an expert and don't pretend to be, but I'm happy to pass along some of the knowledge that I've gained, especially from my failures in this hobby. Great. Okay, Teresa, yeah, Lake Tenkiller. I haven't ever really spent a lot of time there, but I definitely know where that is, so it's very nice to meet another Oklahoman. All right, y'all, I'm going to keep this going for about 10 more minutes or so. So are there any other questions that you guys are wanting to know that I can help with? If you guys hear me clicking around, I bought a bunch of designs earlier, so I am taking this opportunity during the downtime to kind of organize my files because I'm a little OCD. Brenda, nice to meet you, another Oklahoman. You know, we all stick together. It's great. I love it. I left for college and never thought I'd come back, but can't imagine myself anywhere else. So it's a good state to be from. Okay guys, well after we close this up, I'm gonna obviously save it to the group. That way if anyone else has questions, it's saved here. And feel free to keep posting underneath here for questions, and then obviously in the group as well. And then I'm going to do a shout out here probably starting next week of some of the different places and the businesses that people have posted on that previous post. So if you haven't thrown your business name in there, feel free to do so, so that way we can get some traffic to our shops and kind of give each other some shout outs. But I'm here if you need anything. I'm always available. It might take me a little bit to get back to you since I do work full time and do this on the side, but love answering questions for you guys and helping out however I can. But once again, like I said 100 times on this thing, I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I just have a love for helping you guys do this because it's a great hobby, and I understand some frustration that comes with it. So if you guys ever need anything, please do not hesitate to let me know. I'm not saying we're completely done here tonight. If some people have got some questions, I'm happy to leave it up for a few more minutes. I just don't want you guys to sit here and watch me staring at a computer screen while we try and get some stuff done. So if there's no more questions, I'll give you a few more minutes to kind of figure that out, and then we'll shut down for the night. And I hope you guys have a great and safe Memorial Day holiday, and that you're really able to spend time with the family and remember those who have served our country. I'm very thankful for my Marine that I have and that he survived. So all right, y'all. Well, I am going to wrap it up. Everyone have a safe and great weekend, and this will be saved to the group so people can go back and kind of see where it is. Join us in the next couple of weeks whenever we do this how to embroider on straw hats. I'm looking forward to trying that. Probably be trying it right along with you guys that night, and I am excited. Let me know if you guys need anything. Thanks.